some people say the best way to deal with somebody like a Star Wars theory, a Melvin, a whoever it is, ignore it. Don't give them air. Don't give them oxygen for that fire.
Sure.
I know you have addressed some of the stuff that goes on. Pete addresses some of the stuff goes on. I tend to be a little bit more in the, I don't give a shit about you, I'm moving on kind of.
Valid.
What do you feel personally? Like, how do we as fans do what we feel like is best for us as the fandom who want to enjoy Star Wars and be positive? Where do you fall on that?
When it comes to navigating the fandom community and trying to like tiptoe over the negative and the toxic discourse that's kind of way too pervasive right now, to the people that say just ignore it, I would say, yeah, you're right. For the average Joe in the fandom community, ignoring it is the best option. That's the best way to snuff out a fire, is to deprive it of oxygen. However, having said that, the larger your platform becomes, the more your following increases, the louder your silence gets too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like if I am in a position to make a statement of my own to counter that narrative in some way, it would not be responsible of me to let that opportunity go by, since I have a reach of thousands of people,
Mm-hmm.
It's like I said before, why should he be the only one to have any fun here? If you're just some guy, you could say whatever you want. Who's going to be standing around to listen to you? It's when you have a larger following, though, it actually matters what you say, which is kind of the whole issue here, right? In the first place.
Yep.
And I'm on a smaller scale than that. I don't have millions of followers, but I do have a couple tens of thousands. And I think that with that comes the obligation to, follow my own code of ethics. And I don't feel like sitting idly by while statements are made that, that damage other people and their enjoyment of Star Wars. Star Wars is for everybody, and it should be.
Absolutely.
And going back to what you said about gatekeepers, I mean, it really boils back down to what we said about the toys. People that gatekeep Star Wars are just having a tantrum watching someone else play with their Star Wars toys, whether that's the filmmaker, whether that's the female Star Wars fan across the room, like, no, you don't, that's not how Boba Fett makes a noise. You can only play with it this way. Like, that's kind of the mentality that people sort of never evolved out of. And I say never evolved out of because I'm referring to the adult Star Wars fans, but it's really hard to tell who is who, because there's plenty of people that are simply in that adolescent phase.
Right.
That's how they engage with the world around them. And on social media, their voices are just as loud as everybody else's. I don't have any ill will to the followers of this man. I think that his followers are all passionate Star Wars fans.
Sure.
A lot of them are rather misguided, and I would assume pretty young. I don't think they're bad people. I don't think necessarily the majority of them are sexist either. I just think that they are impressionable, and they are getting messages from potentially a pretty toxic source. I don't want anyone to feel like I'm passing judgment against them by being a fan of Star Wars theory. You do you.
Yep.
I would only wish to introduce maybe a little bit of self-awareness to some of these people with the way that I see them interacting with other fellow fans on Twitter, saying the most dehumanizing things, saying the most like rude and vile and spiteful things, just because someone has a different opinion about your fake Space Wizard movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way to take a step back and look at that and not feel like a total loser. Like, I just yelled at someone because of Star Wars. Like, good for you.
I showed them.
Good for you. Yeah. We'll add that to your resume of achievements. Come on. Like, there's just, I don't know, a little bit of self-awareness and a little bit of social etiquette would go such a long way towards repairing the massive rift that we currently have in the fandom.